So we'll take groups of 3, and if you could please introduce yourself, say who you are before you ask your question. Could I have questions? Okay, one at the back, and then Pearl at the back, and Ruth in the grey sweater.
Hello, my name is Consolata from Zimbabwe, and I just want to ask Takura a question about, since we've got so much trouble with the government these days, does Caritas have any encounters with the government during their tour of duty and what they are trying to do? And if so, how do you get over it and work peacefully with them so that you can continue what you are doing?
Pearl Clark, National Board of Catholic Women. I have a friend who was in Zimbabwe 30 years ago, and she described it as a land of milk and honey, beautiful green and verdant lands, and she was very happy there. So I was really surprised to hear that you're suffering a lack of rainfall now. So I wondered, have you got a programme to collect rain, and do you have the infrastructure to sort that out so that when it doesn't rain you do have access to water?
Hi, I was just wondering, because I've read about many places in Africa that they suffer because of cash crops, and because they are forced by governments to produce crops instead of for themselves, for taking, export abroad, like coffee or whatever, cotton or. So I was just wondering if that's a massive problem in Zimbabwe and what we can do as well about it.
As Caritas, we have now been registered as a non-governmental organization. That is the law in Zimbabwe to say any charity organization has to be registered. So it means we follow what is in the Public and Voluntary Organizations Act. So directly we become friends of the government. We are now working closely with the government. We partner with the government in terms of implementing projects that help save the lives of people. So what we basically do is, before we get into any area, we seek clearance from the government, and they allow us to operate in that area. So once we have that clearance, it's called a memorandum of understanding. You are then allowed to operate freely in that area. But what they have made clear is that non-governmental organizations are not supposed to participate in any political activities. So, meaning to say, everything that we do, we are actually monitored. Everything that we say, we are monitored. So, we try to stick to our core business, which is saving human lives and promoting development. So that's how we have managed to do it. And for us as Caritas, we have managed to work even in the most difficult parts of Zimbabwe, those that are very sensitive, the sensitive areas, because as a church, the principles that we follow, the social teachings, are quite neutral, and they are more acceptable to the work that we do and to the government. So other organizations have actually been banned, and they have actually meddled in politics. But we have tried so far to remain neutral, and we have had no challenges helping the people, and we want to maintain it that way so that we're able to assist more people. Then to answer Paul, when it comes to Zimbabwe, yes, it used to be a land of milk and honey. But recently, other scientists would want to deny that, but climate change is a reality, and the impacts, we are feeling them in Zimbabwe right now. So we have the underground water tables falling and declining because of climate change, boreholes running dry. We also have rivers actually running dry because of climate change. the rainfall pattern has greatly declined, and the amount of rains we are receiving is less compared to what we used to receive. For those who probably visited the Victoria Falls years ago, if you go there right now, you might be shocked what you see. So it's hard for us in terms of the infrastructure. We are challenged. We rely on supporters like CAFOD who actually are helping us look at renewable sources like the use of solar to pump water from other rivers that might be reliable, but this requires a lot of funding. So we are challenged in getting access to water, because we now have to build more dams and even rehabilitate some of the dams that were big so that we can store more water to use when there is no rain. So in terms of infrastructure, yes, we are challenged. That's why agriculture now is not reliable anymore. Then the issue of cash crops, to answer Ruth. People, yes, but it's like they have an option to grow these cash crops. We rely mainly on agriculture for everything, for cash. So we have people in the rural areas relying mostly on agriculture. So they have to grow crops like cotton, like tobacco, so that at least they have some money. But in terms of the prices now, things like cotton are no longer a priority for some countries. They're resorting to synthetic, and the prices are now low. But people have no any other income source or other options, but they still have to grow them. So those are some of the challenges. Yes.
So is it a big issue for cash crops? Are there still cash crops we've grown and exported out of the country?
Yes. Tobacco is still being exported, and we have also tea. We have cotton also that is being exported. But probably the only challenge is all these crops are being exported. We are not processing anything in Zimbabwe. It was better if we were processing, because that would bring industry and employment to the people.
Some more questions here at the right, in the plaid shirt, and here in the front.
John Murray, St. Helens. It's a job of charities to make themselves obsolete, isn't it? What evidence is there that the Zimbabwean government are following your example and providing these services that you currently are providing?
And at the back, plaid shirt.
Paul Ripley from Nottingham Diocese. You mentioned how you're given NGO status by central government, and then you're allowed to go out to work within the communities out in the locality in the rural areas. Do you find that the politicians in the rural areas are more accepting of your help and quite helpful towards you? Or do you still have the sort of draconian police measures controlling lots and lots of activities which you perhaps would like to undertake, but then are not allowed to undertake?
Okay.
Hello, my name is Ruth from the Southern Diocese. I was just wondering about if there are any programs in place or initiatives to try and tackle the unemployment that's currently being experienced in Zimbabwe.
All right. Right. When we say we are now working with the government, we are saying we are actually assisting the government in terms of capacitating them so that they are able to provide the services. We know that it's the mandate of the government to provide water, to provide agricultural facilities like inputs, to provide health. So for us to create sustainability, we work closely with them and try to capacitate them so that they're able to continue offering the same services. but at the same time, we then capacitate the communities so that they are also able to maintain and provide some of these services on their own. And they can now make government and council more responsive to their needs. So we work closely with all of them, and they have been willing to work with us because they want also results. They want to see an improvement in terms of access to water. They have policies, they have blueprints that they have in place to make sure that they achieve certain results. So in terms of us working closely with the government, it's something that they are actually looking for. They are looking for friends out there who can actually assist them to provide the basic services. So it hasn't been quite difficult, but what has been challenging is that we do not have enough support, like enough funding to be able to support the people that are suffering in Zimbabwe. But once we come with anything, there comes now the issue of distributive justice. To say we have a few things, a few resources in a wider community. So where do you allocate the few resources to? So we actually come together. There are committees that are there at local and national level that try to create like groups in terms of vulnerability, the status, to say when we get this little, it means we have to channel it to these people. So we try to look at the most vulnerable communities. So government has already identified some of these communities to say when they get aid, it means they will first of all assist these people. So it's only an issue of resources that are limited that are the challenge, because we cannot provide everyone with the resources that are there. And I think that also answers what Paul asked in terms of are we allowed to undertake some of these activities. Then when it comes to unemployment.
Oh, but he was also asking about the rural politicians and their relationship with you.
In terms of the rural politicians, like I said, with these blueprints, the government is looking at achieving results with all the local resources that are available. We're looking at participation of even the business community, the churches, all the other local NGOs. So it means also the politicians have to achieve results in their constituencies, like the councillors. So we have to work with them in terms of providing services so that we work closely with the government in partnership. And when it comes also to monitoring, before you go into the field, you are supposed to provide an activity plan that tells where you are going to be, who you are going to be meeting with. You get police clearance, you get the clearance from the government. You are accompanied by government stakeholders where you go. You have to inform the councillor, and the councillor can also be there when you do some of these activities. So that's how we are working in partnership with them. We see that it might create a sense of participation, a sense of trust, and building again lasting relationships. Yeah. Then unemployment in Zimbabwe is an issue. 80% of the population of 18 million, and there is no industry in Zimbabwe. We rely on agriculture, and with this extreme devastating effect of climate change, even agriculture is failing. So it's really still a big challenge for Zimbabwe. You have graduates that are sitting at home, so people rely on cross-border trading. And now with some of the different policies that are being put in place, that's quite a serious issue, and we still have to do so much in terms of creating employment, but there is just little that we can do about it.
Just a point of clarification in terms of kind of what government and local government offer. They don't fund things. So it's they look to others to actually provide actual services. So I mean it's quite a different system to the way that we function in this country. Question at the back, a woman with a black sweater. Cecilia then on this side, and in the middle section.
Oh, hi, I'm Kath Palash, Wolverhampton. I was just wondering about the role of women at different levels of democracy. Thank you.
Okay. And Cecilia?
I want to find out whether, as a Catholic NGO that becomes a friend of the government, does that put you at a disadvantage if there was a militant opposition?
And in the middle?
Margaret Cook, Shrewsbury Diocese. I'd like to know how universities are funded in Zimbabwe, both directly and funding for students.
Yeah, the role of women in democracy, I think Zimbabwe, like most other developing countries, are now promoting the issue of women empowerment, gender equality, when it comes to participation, equity, and also equality in terms of influential positions. So you have women now participating fully in politics. Some are councillors, some are MPs, and they have their role in the government. So now what happens is they have that opportunity. And for us, we are promoting empowerment of women in the projects that we're doing, like in the gardens, like providing access to water. It's quite a challenge when it comes to women empowerment, because we have 60% who are still living in the rural areas, and they actually follow the traditional culture, whereby it's a patriarchal society, and there are still some other elements that we still have to work on. But what we are promoting is that women have access, equitable access to these resources. And then when it also comes to committees that manage and maintain the infrastructure at a local level, we try to ensure that there is a representation of women, not only in the committee, but also in the most influential positions, like they become also the chairperson of a water point committee, chairperson of a club. So this is how we are promoting the different needs of women.
How many women work in Caritas, Harare?
We have 5, and we have 4 men.
The Catholic NGO, friend of the government.
Yeah, being a friend of the government. Like, as NGOs, what it means is that your mandate is just to assist the people that are suffering, despite their political affiliation, despite their background, despite their religion. So even if an opposition comes in, an opposition government, I don't know whether they will say we will be at a disadvantage, because what we do is to try to address those common needs that even the opposition would also want to try and address. So we stick to the basic needs that the communities want, and we leave it at that point. We don't go into politics, because once we start commenting about politics, that's when probably we might be misinterpreted. So,
In your relationship with government, do you ever fund government to do anything? There's no money relationship.
what we do is, with the government, we do not keep the money. We actually use the funds that we have, but what we do is we include them in everything, in the procurement. We have committees that we establish when we have a project, like project management committee, where we are also part of that, and it's chaired by the government officers that will be there in the district. So we don't give them money, but what we do is we involve them and engage them in all the activities, procurement, implementation, monitoring, and even reporting. So we work like that, yeah.
Universities.
Right, in Zimbabwe, we pay from kindergarten gotten up to university, you have to pay for your own education. It's not subsidized by the government, so it's like you have to pay for your own education breakthrough, just like you have to pay for your health and for everything else. So usually it's hard for the less privileged, because yes, government might have donors like UNICEF who might assist in terms of schools. So they have NGOs that are assisting, and even the church has its own schools, its own hospitals, but still people have to pay because they need to sustain the hospitals, the clinics, and even the schools. So for universities, it's even worse. Yeah.
But do the government pay for the salaries of the professors?
Yes, the government pays for all the civil servants that work within the government, even in education. So like the Catholic Church might have its own schools, but then the government pays the salaries. So that's the system that's there.
I think we might have time for one more question, and then we'll need to finish this session. Is there one last question? Here at the front.
Thank you very much. My name is Maya from London. My question is, have you got any special program for people with disabilities? One, and then secondly, what can you do for child labor? Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that question. So in all the programs that we are doing, we are talking about universal access. So that's access to water, that is universal, access to sanitation infrastructure, that is universal. So as Caritas, what we have started doing is to say in every project, like we can be building toilets for schools, toilets for public places, or rehabilitating existing infrastructure like sanitation. We are actually now including that universal aspect in terms of accessibility even for people with disabilities. So it's something that we mainstream in all our programs in terms of that. So also in terms of child labor, well, in Africa it's quite a challenge. Like the example that I gave when we started to say you have children being left as orphans and they're under the care of their grandparents who are elderly, and at times they cannot do some of these activities. So it's hard for us to really run away from child labor because there is nothing that we can do. Yes, the community at times might try to help each other, but you know, like what Mahatma Gandhi said when it comes to socialism, he said that would be a good idea. So for us, we try in our projects, we try to mainstream the issues of child protection to say at least let us try to reduce the burden for children, like providing access to water that is close, that is accessible to them, so that we try to reduce some of these child labor practices. That's how we can try to tackle it.
Thank you very much, Takura. I think everyone will